Councillor Matongo, first and foremost, congratulations on becoming the new MMC for Finance for the city of Joburg. How are you feeling?
Well, it's a huge responsibility for a young man of my age, but I'm not overwhelmed. I think I'm up to the task. Working together with the team, I think we can do better.
I suppose a lot of Joburgers have this one question in mind. Is the city's finances still in the positive?
Well, when we came in, we got a report that says at the end of the financial year, which is June 2019, we had a positive balance of 5.3 billion, which is welcome news for a man coming into the job to say there is money in the kitty. On the one hand, it's good news. On the other hand, it's not good news, because when we asked what makes up the 5.3 billion, the answer was it's made up of 1.7 billion rand that was not spent on the operations budget, meaning that when service providers who had done work for the city were supposed to be paid, they were not paid. The employment of staff to deliver the services was kept. 800 million of that 5.3 billion was not spent in the capital expenditure budget, meaning that when you were supposed to build houses, when you're supposed to buy buses to ferry the people around from the residential homes to their workplaces, those things were not done. So the question is, you've got money in the bank, but the services have not been provided. The trick really, I think, the game that was played was to say, when the financial year comes to an end, let's have money in the bank so that we look good. When people ask whether we have money or not, we're able to say, well, we've got 5.3 billion rand in the bank, which is true. But when you look on the flip side, the services have not been rendered because the administration took a decision not to use the money.
Now, as the new MMC for Finance, come 2020, what projects do you want to get going?
Well, we had a mayoral strategic planning session over the weekend, and we identified 10 priorities, and we also identified about 8 priority programs. Integrated human settlements is one of the big things that we are going to be focusing on, making sure that the grants, especially around human settlements, building of new settlements, is accelerated. The hostels and the flats is a key program for us to make sure that the living conditions of the people in the hostels and in the flats that are owned by the city are improved. So integrated human settlements is a big issue, but financial sustainability of the city is for us a big thing, because if you do not have the money, you can't carry out the mandate of delivering the services to the people. So a key focus for us will be financial sustainability, making sure that we fix the revenue and billing component of things so that we are able to collect the money and then have money in the bank to deliver services. But jobs is an important thing for us to make sure that we attract investments into the city. So job creation goes hand in hand with economic growth. So we want to attract more investors to invest in the city so that through investments, jobs can be created. And we hope that when people have jobs, they will be able to pay for the services, which is also a mind shift that needs to be cultivated going forward. The issue of drugs, it's quite a big thing for the current administration. We see a lot of young people being involved in drugs. So drug rehabilitation programs should be rolled out. So those are some of the key priorities for us. But of utmost importance is to accelerate the pace that we have in terms of visible service delivery on the ground. If there are robots that are not working, it shouldn't take more than 3 days for the robot to be fixed. In fact, we argue that if a robot is not working, why are we at this day and age not having a system where at some central point, whether it's at the integrated operations center or the intelligence operations center, there should be a red light flashing in some screen there that tells you in this intersection the robot is not working, so you can dispatch the people. So we need to move to that kind of a situation where remotely we can know which robot is not working and dispatch the people. So if there are potholes that are have arisen as a result of the rains that we have received. There should be speedy responses to those. So accelerating the delivery of services is quite an important thing for us.
For you, what would be the key drivers to the city's financial performance?
So the first thing for us is to say, who are the people that must be billed? When you have done that exercise, the second part is to say, are we billing them correctly in terms of the categories? Because what we have realized is a big firm that is being categorized as a residential area where you're charging them very little, because it's like saying this particular big factory is your house. So we expect you as an individual who's earning not much to be paying very little, as opposed to a big firm that has got a turnover of millions. So know who you are billing, but categorize them properly as well. Then the next step will be, are we issuing the correct bill? Because if you are business, you must be billed business. Bill them correctly. Then we can follow up on the other part. Are we collecting the money? Because billing doesn't necessarily translate to money in the bank. So we bill them, but if we bill them, are we collecting the money? Which is a current big problem with us. When I looked at the statistics in terms of the financial position as per yesterday, we are sitting at around 2.7, 2.8 billion in terms of current revenue that we have collected, whereas the target is around 3.8 billion. So it's towards the end of the month. So we're likely to not collect about R1 billion. So you have got a budget, and if you are not going to collect according to the targets that you have set for yourselves, you are going to run a risk of not collecting, and then it means we are going to be under budget by some few billions, and meaning that the promises we have made, because the promises we make are based on the assumptions and the projections we make to say we will be able to collect X amount of money. So if we can't collect the money, we will not be able to deliver the services as per our promises.
Outside of that, what other plans or considerations are you looking at in terms of creating the necessary revenue for the city?
Well, it's quite a difficult situation we find ourselves in. The economy is not performing at the level it's supposed to be performing, but we have to continue providing the services. We've got to provide the water. Part of the big problems we have is the water losses and the electricity losses due to illegal connections and some other reasons. So a big program that will be implemented is to deal with the water and electricity losses that we have, so that City Power is able to provide the electricity, and they don't come back to us and say, we bought electricity from Eskom, but we can't, and we sold it. Whereas we have sold the electricity, we don't have enough money, because they sell to you, then I connect illegally to you, then there's a problem. So infrastructure investment, capital investment on infrastructure is important, so that we fix the problems. And then once we have fixed the problems, we must then go ahead and collect the money. But the truth of the matter is that more and more people are going to be moving away from the grid. People will decide, Eskom is not reliable, let me then go off the grid, put my own energy sources, and they may not be reliant on City Power. So if they do not come to the party, they have different arrangements for water and electricity, it means your revenue sources will be diminishing. So we are going to have a problem. What we have realized is that let's work with what we have. The property rates is more or less a stable income that you get. Let's concentrate there, get the revenue in terms of the property rates, but still go back to those who are not paying for the other services to pay. Public-private partnerships is the way to go, because we realize if people don't have money, they will not be able to pay for the services. Investment is important. It's important to get the private sector in to invest, build factories, do a lot of things, so that in exchange people are absorbed in jobs, and when they are absorbed in jobs, the assumption is that they will be able to pay for the services. It might not be correct 100%, but there's an expectation that if you are working and you have services that you are consuming, you have got to pay for them.
And on that note, I want to thank you so much for coming to the show.
Thank you very much.